Welcome to Smash Writing. I'm Paul. This is Justin. Today we are doing our original versus remake, and today's movie is, well, movies, The Haunting. Interesting enough, I did not know anything. That this was the '99 was a remake. I did not know that. Like when it first came out, probably watched this movie sporadically. Like it doesn't jump out at me as one of the films that I would like watch over and over again. So when you brought this idea and said, "Hey, for original versus remake, we're doing The Haunting," I was like, "Wait, it's a remake?"
Yeah, you actually had me second guessing myself there for a moment. I'm like, no, that was a remake.
And I just never knew this,
And a TV show.
which we also reviewed.
We'll review.
We'll review, yeah.
I watched this in the most reverse order that, well, not really. I watched The Haunting when I was a kid. There's a bit of a Mandela effect. We'll get to it whenever.
Okay.
But, yeah, this is the first time watching the original for me, so let's pit them together, shall we?
All right, Justin, give the plot to the original.
Well, the original, it starts off with some narration going on, talking about this house. The house that some call evil. And people who walk there walk alone. And then we jump to... Oh, we get a bit of history of the house. It was built by Hugh Crane for his family. His wife died, then his second wife died, then his daughter grew up and she died calling for help, but the companion she hired was fooling around with Farmer. But eventually, it would become, and the companion hung herself, and eventually landed to Mrs.
Sanderson.
And she's talking to the narrator, who's Dr. Mark Way. Mark Way wants to rent the house for a little while, so him and some supernatural investigators can investigate the house, find out if it's really haunted, and put science to supernatural. Yeah, that's the thing. They're scientists. They believe the supernatural. They believe all this is real and happening, but they want to start creating laws behind it, kind of like gravity and our laws of physics,
Yeah.
apply it to supernatural. Not trying to debunk it, but trying to prove and make laws behind it. And that comes down to, he starts creating a list, and we meet Eleanor, who is a nurse to a shitty family, and she's been invited. She wants a car. It's half hers, and the apartment was their mother's. And the sister won't give her the car, and they don't want her leaving anywhere because someone has to raise their child. Sure ain't gonna be them. She ends up taking the car anyways, but it's running away. And then she gets to the house, and we meet the Dudleys. Mr. Dudley, very grouchy. He doesn't even want to let her in.
Yeah, he was a prick.
He does not want to let her in. She's like, I've been invited. Go away.
Yeah, he might be the best Dudley version of this whole situation.
But she finally gets in. Miss Dudley shows her to the room. She gives her the speech. Dinner served at 6. Breakfast served at 9. She will not stay the night. Her husband will not stay the night. No one's coming near this house at night.
Yep.
You're on your own. And she's getting a bit nervous, and that's when the next person arrives, Theodora. Just Theodora. Then it's Thea. That's a weird line. But they become a little bit friends, and they start exploring the house, and some creepy things are happening. Eleanor's really getting into her own head here. She's starting to feel the vibes of this evil house, even from when she first saw it. And now it's starting to build and build. And then Markway opens the door, and he's like, "We've been looking for you. I thought I left this door open." And we learned that all the doors are on like weird angles. All the corners are. This is not a symmetrical house. It's very much a asymmetrical house. But he talks to him. He's like, "I did have a team. You two are the only ones who can't." And it kind of throws Nell through a loop. Luke is there also. Miss Stetson's nephew. He wants to inherit the house when she's gone. I guess this is his way of familiarizing himself with the house.
Yeah.
Putting Lord. But the only one with gifts, though, is Thea, who is ESP, extrasensory perception. And Nell got invited because she experienced a poltergeist incident when she was a kid and her house was showered with rocks for days. But the first night comes around, and Nell's woken to the sound of banging. She thinks it's her mother at first because of how her mother used to treat her when she was sick. But then she realizes, no, wait, what's going on? And Theo calls for her, and they're trapped in this room with all this banging and scraping on the walls. And eventually it comes to a stop when Luke and Mark White walk by, and they were chasing after a dog, what they thought was a dog. And it dawns on them that the house probably was doing something to separate them. And Nell is slowly beginning to lose her mind. They had the breakfast the next day, and they're talking about what's going on. And you kind of get a 50-50 about who believes what. Luke doesn't believe any of this. And they kind of calm little nerves that go to the greenhouse and everything. They're going in deeper exploration of the house, and we see a statue. And do you see the statue? The one statue's copying a film of the other statue.
Yeah. I mean, snaps.
And it's a statue of like the family. Like it's Hugh Crane and wives and daughter and companion. And it's like the companion copying the film here? What's that?
That is so true.
But they do come to the conclusion. Mark Wade's starting to debate about sending her home, Nell home, because he's trying to do this as scientifically as possible, and she's starting to lose her mind. Not like totally, but she's showing signs of cracking, and he doesn't want any false information to plague his work. Nell, though, does not want to leave. She really doesn't have a place to go, because she's run away from her sisters and she can't go back there. So she convinces him to let her stay. And that night they get the call because Markaway finds like this cold spot, this one spot, and it drives Luke crazy because he cannot figure out where it's coming from. He's sure it's a draft, but there's nowhere for a draft to come through, and it's right outside Abigail's nursery where she grew up and died in. And Markaway's like, under no circumstances is this door to be opened. But that night, though, we get another haunting where Nell and Theo are sharing the same room, but Nell wakes up into the sounds of kids crying. And she's holding Theo's hand, and finally she yells at the house to stop. Because in her head she's convinced that the house is hurting children. And that wakes up Theo, who turns on the light, and Nell's not even in the single bed situation. She's on the other side of the room, and there was no one holding her hand. Which starts, building up more and more of this psychological break in Nell. And we get a long conversation between Nell and Markway about the situation with her invalid mother, and Markway like explaining what he wants to do with this house and everything. And he believes all this stuff that she's saying. He's not not believing her, but he's trying to explain to her there's nothing really to be afraid of. It's just sounds and stuff like that. And later that night, Theo starts picking on Nell again. That's the running thing. But Nell gets mad, storms off, and Theo is sent to go be with her. Don't leave her alone. That's when Mrs. Markaway shows up, the doctor's wife, which upsets Nell because they've been having these moments together, and he never said he was married. But Ms. Markaway decides she's going to sleep in the haunted room, which is the nursery. And they're trying to talk her out of it when they realize the nursery door is already open. And, the first day, after the first night, they find the writing on the wall for Eleanor. I can't remember what the chalk line said. I'm not going to try to find it.
It was like, it wasn't Welcome Home.
Help me now, Eleanor, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Welcome Home, Eleanor was the remake.
Yeah.
But anyway, that night, everything starts going crazy. Everything is going bonkers. And they cannot find all the sounds back. All four of them were trapped in the library area, I believe, study area. Mm-hmm. And she breaks out to go offer herself to the house to spare Miss Markway. But when she gets to the nursery, no one can find Markway. And she's gone at this point. And she starts climbing the spiral staircase and like she's going to jump off the ledge like the companion did. And they just managed to save her and get her down. But as they were getting her down, she sees Miss Markway looking in the panel in the attic. Like, real quick moment, and she's the only one who sees it. And at this point, they've had enough. They're sending Nell out of here. Nell is fighting them. She's like, no, the house got to take me, not her. And they're like, we're going to find her, and you're going to leave first.
Now get out.
And she does not want to go. She's explaining she doesn't have anywhere to go, and they're not listening. But before Luke can get in the car to go with her, she drives off and wrecks her car into the same tree that the first Hugh Crane wife wrecked into all those years ago. And that's when Ms. Markway steps out from behind the tree, and they think that she's swayed to miss her, and they're like, no, that's not what happened. And even the doctor's like, no, look, this is the same tree. And he pointed out the scarring in the tree to show that this was the tree that killed the former Miss Crane. And that this house is haunted, and they have no idea what they're going to do now. And we get the narration one more time about the house. People who walk here walk alone, but this time it's from Nell instead of Markway. And we fade to black.
In the end, there you go. All right, some pros and some cons here. And what do you think?
I really enjoyed how they were doing the monologues with Nell.
Yeah.
They kept fading in. You were hearing her thoughts for the most part.
Yep.
It helped them a long way to build up the psychological horror without going to subpar effects on ghosts and stuff like that. It helped build the tension that way. And the actress who did that, Julie Harris, really delivered in her downward spiral. I love the back and forth between her and Theo.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Her and Julie and Claire Bloom had a really good chemistry together. I think all four characters really bounced off well of one another. What about you?
So I'm always a fan of source material. Of all the adaptations to the book, this one was more of the closest to the book. I did enjoy. I enjoyed Luke in this film, and I put down that he's a prick.
Yeah, Luke was good in this film.
Luke was not a stuck-up prick, but he was like a prick. Like the one scene he's talking the spiral staircase.
Yeah.
And Mark Ways, believe is explaining how like the suicide happened up there. Or
yeah. And
there.
he's talking about strippers.
Yeah. But he's not like I put down in my notes like I enjoy this one because there's like not a lot of overreacting like given the situation, but like in his situation it just made sense because like he's a prick, you know, he knows he's going to inherit this house, and he's like, I'm going to turn this into a strip club.
He doesn't believe any of this, and he's not putting any weight on the deaths around him. I did love the line when he was trapped in the room and all the banging going on around him. And he's like, oh, hey, Doc, I'll sell this house to you cheap.
Yeah.
It's dawning on him, oh, this is real. He's like, you just want to get out of here
and
now.
He's like, yeah, inheriting this house may not be such a good thing.
I think cinematography was really good. There was a lot of really good, crisp shots. I love the quick editing during the faster-paced scenes.
I like, the one thing I like about this, and I guess this will kind of go into the remake as a con, is like, so the effects